So I highly recommend that you guys watch the previous video about the DevOps and networking apps embedded into my Docker container. So in the previous video, we discussed about creating that container, right? So it will create all my Python 2 and 3 libraries and all the tools that I'm using as a network engineer. But I'm also dealing with a lot of UC in my day-to-day job. So I needed a web server that I'm using in order to deploy web pages for my customer and an Sftp server so that I can push firmware to the call manager or something like that. So I will create another, I will use Docker Compose, which is another way for Docker to create multiple containers, right? So that we don't have to type long commands in order to start containers, for example. So in this example, we'll create two other containers, right? NGINX in order to be used as a web server. And what I will do, I will map a folder on my laptop and map it to a folder in the file system snapshot on the container. Right. I will use the NGINX official image from Docker, from Docker Hub. I will have another container, an Sftp container that is an image that is customized by somebody on Docker Hub. I will reuse this container and map one folder on my laptop to the home folder on the file system of the container. I will also do a copy of my public key to that container. So when I SSH into it, I just have to I don't have to enter any credentials. So we'll see how can we do that. So we'll use what we call a Docker Compose file. So here it's a YAML file. So I recommend you to be fluent with YAML. It's very, very simple, very readable. So here you can see that we will create three containers: the DevOps container, the NGINX container, and the Sftp container. The DevOps container will be built based on the Docker file that we have here. So that container is exactly the same as we saw previously in the in this video, in the video. And so we'll map a volume to so that we can run my scripts. The second container will be the NGINX, and the image will be pulled from Docker Hub, right? And again, I will map a volume to that container, and I will redirect the 8080 the ports of my laptop, of my server, for example, to the port 80 within the NGINX of the container. Same thing with Sftp. So I'm using Atmos /Sftp, which is a custom and it's a custom Sftp. The container is very popular on Docker Hub, and I'm mapping some drive of my laptop to the container. And again, I'm copying my public key to that container so that I can log in without any credential. Also, I'm redirecting the 22 ports of my laptop or my server of my host, if I can say, to the 22 ports of that container. So let's build it and let's see how does it work. So I have my Docker file here. Let me check if I have any Docker container. So no, I don't have. Okay, Docker so I have my Docker Compose, my Docker file. So I have everything in my directory. So I will just do a Docker Compose up and build the image. And as you can see, it will build the DevOps application, which will be composed of 3 containers. And you remember from the previous video that these steps are familiar with what we had, because it will still build the first container using the Docker file. So it will do that, and when it's done, I will fast forward, and when it's done, I will resume the video. So we can see that the Docker compose the command has been processed, and that it created it created 3 containers: the SFTP, the DevOps, and the NGINX. Right. The DevOps container is the container that was creating using the Docker file. The SFTP was used using a Docker image, so it had to download the Docker image, and the SFTP image, from Docker Hub, and the NGINX container was created using the official NGINX image on Docker Hub. So, and then you can see that we are running the SFTP container, and this is the SSH logs that we have here, and it's listed on port 2222. But first, let's have a look at the Docker NGINX container. So 127, it's port 8080, and we can see we have that we have the NGINX server running, and it's rendering that web page that we have here. So, for example, we can see, so that's the web page. So let's see here, testing the container. We are saving, right? You can see that www folder is being mapped into the NGINX container. So let's see if we refresh the page. Yeah, testing the container. So it's working here. So now let's see about SFTP. So we got the SFTP, we got the FTP client here. So choose SFTP as a protocol, 127.0.0.1, port 22.22, and the username is Nick. So I don't enter any password, because I want to validate that my SSH, the public key, is valid and that it's working for the host. So let's connect. Okay, let's connect. And we can see that we are in the container. And we have a file, containers are awesome.txt. So in order to validate that, we can see on the terminal, if we scroll down, we can see that the NGINX is showing some logs about who tried to access which resource on the web server, and same thing for the SFTP. We see that a public key has been accepted for the user Nick, and from this IP address on this port, and that's pretty much it. So now we have a container. So now we have a container where we have 3 containers, and these 3 containers, yes, we can see that we have 3 containers, right? Docker tools NGINX, Docker tool DevOps, Docker tool SFTP1, and this is the image that they are using. So NGINX latest from Docker Hub, Docker tools DevOps, that's the custom Docker file, and Atmos SFTP from Docker Hub as well. So I hope you enjoy, and let me know in the comment if how can we improve, and if you have any question, we'll definitely be able to help you in your DevOps journey. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching.